listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Steve Hall is with us today. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, email the show via the Absolute Radio website. The brilliant Steve Hall, as he was described on the intro to this show by...
That was lovely, wasn't it?
I've made it into the trails.
Yeah.
Alan's going to be furious.
I don't think we got to mention him.
No, we didn't. He said something about something Skinner and the Emily Bird.
I don't think he said that.
But he's
That's
also
what
the
they
brilliant
say.
Steve
Get him
Hall.
the sack.
It's
saying
Absolute Radio, home of the bird.
I think he mentioned my name. It was like the way you'd sort of big up a fat kid at a sports day. Like
No.
the brilliant Steve Hall. It's good. It's nice to see him trying.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about me for a second, Frank.
Steve is not obese, can I say? Not that would make him a bad person.
Oh,
See
Frank.
what he looks like? He looks like...
Somebody stop him.
if you know the Despicable Me movies, he looks like Vector from Despicable Me if he'd lived.
What?
I think he did live, but he went on the moon. But if he carried on living on Earth and got a bit older. Remember Vector? Steve.
Yes.
Steve. Sorry, I'm starting to addressing the listeners individually. I think that's the way I get people's attention this time
And
of the morning.
confusingly calling them Steve.
Most of them are called Steve.
Are they?
In my the ones
What do
I
you
meet.
think? Do you think that's our average reader name, Steve?
Well, I'm told that our average reader is 38 years old with a black tour T-shirt and white Dunlop Green Flash trainers with a hangover.
Really?
Now, if you don't fit that, don't switch off. This is just a mean, it's just an average.
That's making someone's there who that precisely matches it, and it's really confusing his hangover.
Yeah,
Going,
Steve.
oh, God,
that'll be Steve.
Oh, Steve.
This week's texting, by the way, why are Formula One drivers always a bit weird? See him interviewed, you think, what's the matter with him? People I wouldn't let babysit for me, number 11, Formula One drivers. What is it? What's the matter with them? Just a bit off, you know what I mean? A bit off kilter. Anyway.
They're the sort of people that, they turn up at a dinner party and you think...
No, they don't turn up at a dinner party.
Gerhard's here.
I think they'd sit on the car park, just looking at the steering wheel.
Or they do... Was it Nicholas Anelka who, when he was unhappy at Arsenal, used to drive around? No, it was someone else.
No, that was Carney.
Carney, we discussed him, sorry, on the show. I do apologise. Sorry, Carney.
Not strictly speaking a Formula One driver, though.
No, but they were Arsenal strikers, I'm sorry. I brought them into it. Frank, we've heard from the outside world. Tom Lawrence says, does Frank realise it's illegal to carry salt in your pocket if you intend to throw it at people?
I don't know what you're talking about. Next. What about... But I eat a lot of hard-boiled eggs. So I think I could make that stand up in court.
Yeah. Could you just say you're worried about slugs?
Yeah.
Yeah? Although I think that's really horrible.
It's a horrible...
As a method of killing slugs. I mean, they're very squashable.
Oh, I've done the salt method. It's cruel, isn't it?
Oh, I think they writhe in pain. You can see the horn. You know the horn eyes. Are they eyes? There's two things on the front of a slug and snail. Are they eyes or are they antennae?
Oh, I thought they were
12,
antennae.
15. Why do you need antennae if you've got a shell on your back?
Does the slug have the antennae? Oh, they're sort of squashed in ones.
No,
aren't
they have the antennae. They come out when you drop the salt on them.
Oh, do they?
In a sort of... Oh! Maybe they're trying to read your licence plate. That's why their eyes come up, so they can report you for assault.
Fantastic.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Has there ever been a really good song with the word sex or sexy in the title? Not to my memory.
Right, said Fred.
Right, said Fred.
Is that a really good song? Get Out.
That's
George
in my
Michael's
book.
I Want Your Sex.
You've already... The word George Michael's was enough for me. No.
God rest his soul.
Oh, God, I respect his human essence, but I mean, I like his music. As I believe they say in the Caribbean. It was my girlfriend's birthday this week.
Yes. How did it go?
Well, I think I basically had a bit of a fail.
Did you? Did you have an epic fail?
I had an epic fail.
I thought, can I just say, I did quite well, I thought.
You did brilliantly. Now, Emily sent a video, which was hilarious. I mean, I properly lol cream from 10cc. That's how much I.
Oh, thank you.
I lolled. It was. Should I say what it was?
Yeah, please do.
It was a sort of dating video with Emily transformed into a man.
I had a beard from a Snapchat filter.
And it was very, very good. I tell you what was particularly good about it is that you being one of those basic blokes in it, and you actually used the phrase "for my sins,"
yeah,
which I really, really enjoyed. I mean, that is right up there. We ought to have a feature. Remember that song? Well, the games people play. Is there a bit called The Things People Say? Maybe there isn't.
Yeah.
But there are certain... I would put that, for my sins, I'd put that in the same bracket as... On a couple of occasions, I've walked into a shop or a pub and someone said, "What can I do you for?" And it's up there with that.
Yeah. I've been up since silly o'clock.
Oh, do I know that one?
Oh, don't you?
That's very
Tomorrow morning, got to get up at silly o'clock.
good. Trouble is with that one is
Not with me, mate.
I quite like that one.
Do you?
Especially if I'm ever on holiday in the Scilly Isles, I shall use it.
Frank, you've only just heard it. It gets old.
What about It Takes Two to Tango?
I don't mind that.
Is it true? I think I could put together a reasonable tango on my own. Let's not forget when Colin... What's the name of the hurdler?
Oh,
Colin Jackson.
Yeah.
Colin Jackson and Erin Bogue danced
I
with...
like that you remember Aaron Bogue's name, but not Colin Jackson.
That's showbiz. And they danced with mannequins on their on the final of Strictly.
That was the jump the shark moment.
Roundly mocked and condemned by the judges. And while they were condemned, they had to stand there with these horrible limp mannequins hanging off them. Brilliant.
And the tabloids would probably have suggested that the mannions were having a secret relationship.
Yeah.
They're ruined.
Good use of the
Erin
tabloids.
Bogue's relationship.
I also I booked a massage for Kath was my main gift.
Yeah, that
which I thought was a good idea.
That was very good.
And Frank did a very sweet thing, which was in the manner of a kidnapper with a hostage. He took a photograph of the note saying, "This is the massage that's been booked," just to prove that it had happened.
When we got when we stayed at a lovely posh hotel for Kath's birthday, and there was a thing on the table saying this is waiting for you, the massage. So I took a photo of it. It's the kind of person I am.
Very sweet. Anyway, what happened with your gift?
Actually, speaking of old phrases, Kath said something after the massage. There was a sort of a very physical part of it where she said, "It hurt like bilio," which I hadn't heard for a very long time. And then I started thinking about it. I really dwelt on it that night in bed. I was thinking, where that comes from, bilio.
Yeah.
I arrived with the theory. Now, hear me out. That it's a reference to Billy Ocean's "Love Really Hurts Without You." If any info on that, 81215.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had quite a strong response to you saying no good songs with sexy in. Quite a few people have said, "Do you think I'm sexy?" by Rod Stewart. 327.
No, that just proves my point.
No, I think you'll find Paul the chauffeur.
Did I miss out the word good?
Paul the chauffeur says Ros Stewart.
Okay.
So I'm not familiar with Rod Stewart's back catalogue.
There are many Rod Stewart's tracks I've loved, especially in the early days, the sort of old raincoat, every picture days. But Do You Think I'm Sexy, I'd say, was the beginning of the end, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Wow.
I like the way
it's a bit needy as a song title.
Yeah, it is.
Does my bum look big in this?
Just to show you think you'd be ultra confident, but no.
His next song is "Would You Still Love Me If I Was Fat?"
Was his career ruined by Britt Ekland? Remember, this is in the days when people, if a bloke went wrong, they usually blamed the woman. Do they?
Yoko Ono being the...
Yeah, Yoko Ono, Mike Tyson, Robin Givens. Which woman brought down your favourite male star? At 12:15.
Yeah.
And Dave Bryant has emailed the show to say...
Dave Bryant, who makes Swan Vestas matches.
Quite possibly. Oh. He said a phrase that particularly annoys him is shopkeepers saying, thanking you.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, thanking you. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. What about... there's an emphasis I object to, and you only get it in shops. And you walk in and they say, do you need any help at all?
Oh, yeah, they do.
Why are you saying it like that? In any other area of your life, you wouldn't put
help. Help would be the star of that sentence, wouldn't it?
Do you need any help at all? Do you need any help at all?
Yeah, I suppose there's other things you might want to do with help other than need it.
It's always in clothes shops. Stop it.
Well,
that's a new section of the show. Stop it.
I worked with a tour manager who we were doing a gig in, I think, Coventry, and he said, just for the sake of saying it, I don't think we'll go via Stratford-upon-Avon. No, of course we won't go via that. You've said that because you got a laugh with that once in the 80s, and you've said it ever since. Anyway, God bless him. It's a nice bloke, as it turned out.
I've had a text about slugs as well, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Not the most glamorous moment of my career, but dear Frank, Emily and Steve, a good way to kill slugs is a beer trap using slops
I've heard of that, yeah.
from your local in an old yoghurt pot. Compostable when done, and slugs die happy.
I've heard of that.
Do any of us die happy? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. How do you know the slugs are that? Because they've had alcohol.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that made me really happy.
Slugs die.
Nearly ruined my life.
Maybe that's why they don't like the salt. They think they're a third of the way to a tequila, and they're furious.
Slugs die.
You have to put a bit of lemon out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. That's how it is with them, you see. It's like in pub they sell crisps to make you thirsty. Bit of salt down to get them. Oh, I could do with a beer. Hold on, what's that in the yoghurt pot? Oh, yeah. No, don't kill slugs. Look, I don't want to be the Brian May of slugs.
No.
What is it he likes? Badgers.
Badgers.
And also, I don't want their last moments to be inebriated.
No, I don't. It's a terrible way to go.
Yeah.
Famous celebrities whose last moments were inebriated. 8, 12, 15. Yes. So this is the problem with Cathy. So it was the day before her birthday. They were having a big wedding, so they put up this enormous marquee.
Oh, at the venue, yeah.
At the hotel.
Yeah.
And then Kath said, look, I need to ask you a question. Is that marquee, is that for me? No, but I've got you some leggings from Gap. If that counts. Oh, man. I mean, it was such a... No, it isn't.
Oh, no.
And I hadn't made anything like those kind of preparations, but suddenly the bar had been set incredibly high, as they say in the snail world when there's a really big yoghurt pot.
I mean, it's getting into marquee territory, Frank.
Oh, no. I mean, the next morning we gave her an apple with a match sticking in it for a birthday cake. And she thought it was going to be a marquee.
Oh. It's like the beginning of a rom-com, where it's like the opening scene of a film where you then have to make the wedding happen in 24 hours.
Yes,
it is. I have to go out and buy a marquee.
Oh, I'd have loved that film.
I could have phoned the Marquis of Bath or something like that and got him to come and said, it's just a case of pronunciation.
Do you know what?
The lead singer of The Fall.
Gone really bad. Yeah, Marquis Smith, yeah. He should have gone into the tent business. Sorry,
I reckon if you'd have called me, next time that happens, I think I could pull off an event with 24 hours notice.
Who needs Annika Wright? 8, 12, 15.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
We've had a missive from 500.
Oh, yeah? That'll be Steve.
Went to a job interview and was offered the job, but I had to turn it down, as when wishing my potential new boss a good weekend, he responded with, I'll try my worst. That's Ruskin. Oh, Ruskin. Nice to know he's still around.
Didn't he also run out of the house screaming on his wedding night?
Saw his wife naked.
Anyway, yeah. Yes, that's probably not the same, Roskin.
Well, it might be.
We've had Andy says he hates it when people of a certain age refer to you as my friend.
Oh, yes.
He thinks that that's a sign that they obviously detest you.
He sounds like you, Frank.
I used to take every time Kevin Phillips had a good game for West Brom. He's a well-known striker, Steve, you know?
I do. He plays for Southampton for a while.
And he used to text me back, cheers, pal. No capitals and no punctuation. And I used to think, but not get a capital on the cheers, you have to actually press.
So a lot of conscious decision going into that.
He was like E. Cummings, the poet. He was just anti anything of an uppercase.
Yeah.
I think that was one of his favourite poems. I seem to remember him poets. I think he told me.
So apart from the marquee misunderstanding, was it a good birthday?
Well, I bought her some leggings, and she said, I can't wear these leggings.
Why?
Because of the material. And I said, aren't all sports leggings made out of roughly the same? She said, no, these really make you smell.
Oh.
So it was a bit awkward. So we relit the match on the Apple.
To get rid of the smell?
Yeah. No, that was that. That was that present shot down in...
Did you have cake?
No, we had the Apple. Cathy won't eat cake.
Oh.
I think you'll find women don't eat cake since
I
about
do eat cake.
2008. I think they stopped.
I just thought it was a birthday. They might have a nice gluten-free.
No. Apple match. She didn't even eat the apple.
Was it easy to get the candle into the apple, is it?
Well, I went down... what's the opposite end to the stalk called? You know, the sort of black...
Yeah, the reverse angle.
There's like a little black... It looks like a tiny black tea towel holder.
I know
on
that.
the other side.
But you are the only person that buys someone Apple products for a birthday, and it's an actual apple.
Well, I didn't buy it. There was a fruit bowl. I'll tell
I
you
know what you mean, Frank. It's like, how can we describe it, really?
Yeah.
what is the other end
The
of the
asterisk at the bottom of the apple.
Yes.
Lovely.
The apple's bomb. Let's call it that. That'd be a good name for a pub. Apple's bomb. I don't want Gwyneth Paltrow texting in and saying, mind your own business. Actually, it looks all right, the match in the Apple. If anyone's looking for a quick birthday idea.
I don't think they'll be taking that advice.
If there isn't a marquee to
It's hard.
So hang on, is it just the one match?
I'll tell you what, I've got a photograph of it.
Oh, can we put it up on the socials?
Certainly. I took a picture of it, and I am such a naturally good photographer. No, I have very few absolute, purely natural skills, but I am a brilliant photographer. When I say this, as are most people.
Yeah.
Photography is the last refuge of the scoundrel. I mean, I think when photography is called an art form, I find that absolutely laugh. I think anyone with 10 minutes training can be a professional photographer. But anyway, I'll show you the picture I took with an iPhone, and it's like a Caravaggio painting, and it's an apple in with a match.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there you go. I think I've sorted all that out. We'll put that up. You guys, I know, I'll be waiting for the... Oh, God, there's an apple. Steve. Yes, Steve? Get your phone on. They're going to put a picture of an apple with a match in it. Yeah. I'll be there.
Stop feeding the slugs yoghurt and beer.
They don't feed them yoghurt.
I know.
That's just a receptacle. If he isn't paying attention, what chance have we got with Steve?
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a strong response to the picture of your birthday apple.
Oh, really?
Daniel has tweeted, it's art.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Whereas Ian has tweeted, council toffee apple.
Good now. Good if you allow the council thing.
And 977 has said an apple's bum is called a calyx. Unless it could be a Cali and she's put a kiss on the end. But Calyx, C-A-L-Y-X.
It wouldn't be a Cali. Calyx sounds right, doesn't it?
Calyx sounds like one of Asterix's friends.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Calyx.
And we've also had an email from Claire with whatever happened to. She said, "Hi, Frank, Alan, and Emily."
Sorry about that, Steve. Bit Hawks.
That's fine. I'm happy to be Alan.
No, is that the whatever happened to? Alan Cochrane.
She says, "Whatever happened to seeing men with bits of tissue stuck on shaving cuts?"
Yes, you know what? I think I've discussed this before, but that's fine because we've been on 10 years.
On the same page, Claire.
Yes, that has gone. Now, you say bits of tissue. In the early days, when my dad used to do it, it used to be a bit off the newspaper.
Really?
Mainly because we didn't have tissue in the house. I'll let you work the rest out. Newspaper.
Wow. So if he'd really cut himself, he would look like a weird ransom note. Bits of newspaper.
And was it considered normal to go out in polite society with white bits on your face?
No, the idea was that you carefully took them off before you left the house, but sometimes people forgot. That was the idea.
Okay.
But it's what's the word? Suit when you do something with a cut.
Sutured.
Suture.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Probably isn't right.
Well, no, it
John
is.
Suchet.
Suture. Suture is the
John
stitches,
Suchet, I
isn't
think,
it?
was named after those bits of tissue.
Sutures is the stitches, I believe.
Sutures.
My dog had them.
Stitches?
My dog had them on his nether regions.
Suit yourself.
Really?
Yeah, he's not the man he was.
Have you shaved
Oh, has
him?
he been done?
He's been done.
Oh, I thought you'd shaved him.
Is he furious?
Got drunk and shaved him. We've all done it. We've all done it. Come on, they love it.
He's not furious, no.
I had this idea.
Much nicer.
I had an idea this week that if you put any name into the internet, you could discover, just discover somebody new and who you might really find interesting.
Okay, but what sort of thing?
Just any name, any random name. That's going to be, every name is going to be represented.
As in just a single name, or just a
with a
full
surname?
name that you've just...
Dave Reynolds. You'll find a Dave Reynolds.
Or just make it up, like Leslie Pikachu.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my name.
And I thought, whoever it is, they're going to be on there. And, there might be some really interesting people who I wouldn't have discovered otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'm always, I used to walk into HMV and stuff and think, I bet there's sort of recording artists in here who would change my life and I'll never hear them. So I tried this. So I put in Steve Welk. Nothing. Another theory gone.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've had a communication from John Verity on the subject of phrases he hates people
Now that's
using.
a good one to Google. I think there'd be some
John Verity.
some rich results in that.
Yeah.
It's a good name. It's sort of John Truth, I suppose, isn't
Lovely.
it?
Yeah.
Like Pilgrim's Progress character.
It is, yeah.
He says he hates it if you ask someone. I think he's clearly referring to someone very specific. That if he says how are you doing, they will always reply not three bad.
Oh, yes, I know
we
that
do that
one.
on the show.
That's
yeah.
a popular one.
That's
not
one of our
three bad.
favourites
Oh, is that
here.
the classic?
How are you diddling? Not three bad.
And, of course, here we are going, which I think is only in the West Midlands.
Yeah.
I had an idea. I was sitting in a large restaurant with my child, and I said to him, if you had a gun and you could shoot anything in this restaurant, I mean, not people, but anything else, what would it be? And he looked round and he said, I think maybe that brick on that oddly coloured brick on the wall. I said, I'd go for that lampshade on the upper. And we sat there for about half an hour, and I thought, is there a game? It's a TV show in this. I know
What,
people.
children shooting.
I know people who work in television. There's an area of television, some of you may not know, called development.
Yeah.
And if you say to someone, it's a bit cold today, they say, there's a programme in that. Temperature and its variety.
Well, they're writing it down now.
They're constantly looking. And
Kids shoot the funniest bricks.
Yeah. And I thought this, it was very satisfying though. We just the idea of having, not killing people ever, but just shooting stuff and it exploding.
I find that caveat very touching.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to make it absolutely
my
clear.
dad at his elder brother's wedding got a little bit carried away and shot loads of his wedding presents.
With what?
A little
Well, he had
bit
like
carried
he had
away
an
like
air
Frank
rifle.
Spencer.
He had an air rifle
He had
to
an
a
air
wedding.
rifle.
I think, isn't there a Smith song called Air Rifle at a Wedding? I know. It's serious. Actually, it was a BB. I think that was a BB.
So he got the air rifle out.
Yeah, and they talk about it like
Gotta
it's
go now.
it's like
Shut
a
up
beloved
now.
family
It's a
memory.
break. It's that the producers put the fares next to me. We've got to move on. Also, I don't want to know about your terrible... Who was it, your dad? Violent dad. Violent dad.
Love you, Dad.
Another good name for a band.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve Hall. You can text us on 81215. Many have.
Yeah.
Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Many have, and one has to say he's spotted you, hasn't he,
Indeed,
Frank?
Michael Goldin has tweeted to say, I would love to know what books Frank bought at Oxfam Books yesterday.
I mean, this is the modern world, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like East Germany.
You can't have an affair these days.
You can't have an affair.
I mean, not
no.
that you would anyway.
Not
but
with
you
my
know.
knees. No. No, I bought... I bought Personae, which is a collection of short poems by Ezra Pound, and I bought a book which is a
Lovely.
collection of essays on British poetry since 1960. Since you asked.
For bargain prices.
For bargain prices. But I don't like to think I'm getting a bargain out of the poor Africans.
Well,
So
I'm afraid you are.
I always put a bit of extra in the tin. Put the change in the tin.
That's
Nice.
nice. That extra
Nice.
penny is so useful.
I think so. So, yes, that's what I bought. But it is a funny old world where people say, what about when I got in and Kat said to me, what were you doing in Superdrug?
Oh.
I had to show her an itemised list.
There
was none on there, in case you're wondering.
I did a gig once with Mark Little, who played Joe Mangle in Neighbours. And
Frank and I went to see him in something in
Yes,
a show.
in the
Didn't
I
we?
think we
the
saw him,
Caveman.
Little Talks, Monsters and Men. We saw him doing that, didn't we?
We saw him. I can't remember. It was something about cavemen.
Yeah,
Frank.
something the Caveman.
Yeah.
He quite earnestly said to me, Steve, people need to understand I am not Joe Mangle. And then I typed in Joe Mangle on Twitter and you get an exact match of his day because everyone's just tweeting, I can't believe I've just seen Joe Mangle in the shops. I can't believe I've just seen Joe Mangle crying in the street, shouting at people.
He is a bit of a lovejoy in that he will always be
He will
Joe
always
Mangle.
be, yeah. It's a shame because he's a really good stand-up as well. He's a lovely bloke. But it is just, he is just
Yeah.
Joe Mangle.
It happens.
I think of him
I
as
said it.
the Australian Steve Hall.
Can I have that as a poster quote?
Yeah, I think you can. Where would we word it then?
I guess I'd have to be
English
the
Joe
British
Mangle.
Joe Mangle. Yeah.
Yes. What about my worst one? I must have told you this before. I went to see a well-known comedian, and I went back after.
Oh, I love this. Do I
And
know
I
them?
said, that's brilliant, really, really good, funny, clever, etc. And I got back and it was on Twitter. Sat next to Frank Skinner at the Blah Blah gig, didn't laugh once.
Oh, no.
Of course, I don't, I laugh inside.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's objecting to the phrase bang on trend.
Okay.
They say it always sounds like it's being used by someone trying to sound bang on trend.
Yes.
I mean, it's sort of ironic. It's come back in, hasn't it, with some of the hipsters because it's so unfashionable. It's like saying the hit parade. I bet they all say that in Shoreditch now.
What about touching base? You all right with that?
Well, I think I might use that.
Do you?
I think I've used it. I wouldn't use it on you, Frank, because I'd fear repercussions. But I feel some of the staff here on Absolute Radio might have used that with.
Paul McCartney uses it.
Mark King.
Let's touch base. And you think, does that mean he's going to play? Or we're just going to meet up? We'd have that little anticipation. Oh.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
What about Trumpelstiltskin? We haven't mentioned him for a while. And
No.
he's been up to some stuff. In fairness, he's always up to stuff, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's-
I mean, he's a busy boy on the stuff front.
He's a tremendous generator of news stories. I've got to give him that. Fair play.
And I've never known so much about American politics. I know
No.
everything now. So they had an eclipse.
And that is not a quote from Donald Trump.
They had an eclipse, didn't they, in America last week? And
That's symbolic.
well,
The place was plunged into darkness.
I read
Yeah.
it. Do you see that pit? There was a church, and they'd said, "Dear Lord, should we impeach Trump? Send us a sign, blot out the sun."
but Trumpelstiltskin, he strikes me as someone who doesn't like being told what to do, and so he decided to look directly at the sun during the eclipse. They were on the
We've all done it. Come on.
Truman balcony, I believe it's called. I even know that now. Didn't know that before Trumpelstiltskin.
It's named after F.S. Truman, the Yorkshire and England fast bowler. Fiery Fred. That's why they always go out there to observe the sun.
Yeah. Him, Melania and Barron. And Barron doesn't come out that often, but he
Indeed.
was there. And he didn't put the glasses on. And you can just
Donald didn't.
No, Donald didn't. And you can hear this plaintive voice from below saying, "Don't look," from an aide.
Oh,
Poor
really?
aide. Yeah, you could hear the aide going, "Don't look." But he just ignores it. Trumpelstiltskin won't be told.
I think, no, I know it's almost impossible to do a Donald Trump hair joke that doesn't sound like the Office Joker. But I think his hair probably works a bit like the centre court roof at Wimbledon. And if the sun is intense, I think the canopy extends somewhat. So I think he probably looked up through that, which takes the edge off it.
That's true, yeah.
It was weird when he actually finally put the protective glasses on. He looked like Max Headroom, but made out of luncheon meat. It was a really weird.
I'd like to see that in a exhibition of modern art.
But the thing is, here's, to quote a new friend of yours, Frank, here's the inconvenient truth here.
Oh, yes.
Eclipses are a bit rubbish, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely,
I mean, let's
yeah.
be honest, we're not medieval. We've got Netflix and chill now. I don't need, let's look at the strange astronomical form. I don't need that in my life. I can put the telly on.
I imagine in the White House someone said, the sun looks a bit weird, and he said, leave him alone. Told you. I like an eclipse, personally.
You are quite medieval, though.
I like to go.
honest.
I go up onto Parliament Hill when there's an eclipse, which is a hill near me in London, and I look through a bin liner. And that's something I sort of look for. I mean, I don't do it a lot.
It's a
so I don't
reminder
get
of the
many-
80s.
Yeah. And I find it, there's something, it makes me feel very small. The idea that
just the magnitude, yeah.
Well, that's
giant-
why I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like astronomical events.
No.
I think because the British were because the 99 eclipse was such a disaster.
But
that
this is what I
think
mean.
the British
They're
people got
always
excited about
disasters.
it.
When has anyone said that eclipse was amazing? Except for Bonnie Tyler. She's the only person who's PRing them.
But what about Bonnie Tyler? Bonnie, did you read this? She was on a cruise ship, and she did Total Eclipse of the Heart. It coincided. She timed it so it coincided exactly with the eclipse, and she even cut the song so it lasted the same length as the eclipse. Now,
What a
but
pro.
come on, if you'd been on that, I'd love to have been on that cruise, because you might be sniffy about eclipses. But every time an eclipse was mentioned, then you'd say, well, actually, I was on a boat once with Bonnie Tyler. She did Total Eclipse. And people go, you're kidding me.
Yeah. Was there love in the dark?
Well, 2 minutes, I should think so. Plenty of time. That's something, probably find that's the worst side of eclipses. There's probably a lot of breast feeling and stuff like that goes on during
A
the
spike in births
about?
9 months
public
later.
transport. If the world's plunged into darkness,
Yeah.
you know what men are like.
They'll be with the eclipse babies.
Men. It's not a very good... if you're going to bring out a single that's a regular cashing in thing, there's something a bit more regular than an eclipse.
It's a lunar eclipse of the heart.
Yeah.
I bet she wished she'd called it a Wednesday of the Heart. But she's number one in the iTunes
Good
US
on her.
download chart.
Do you know what I love about her? Still got that hair. You go, girl.
Yeah, again, does a lot of eclipse work. She's there with Donald. It's protective.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
541, talking about sayings. When asked how are you, reply, fair to Middleton.
Oh, I don't know that
Well,
one.
apparently they say it, which is a bit orcs.
The Middletons do.
Well, I don't know if the Middletons do. I'm saying that 541 as a group do, as a conglomerate do.
I hope the Middletons say it. Fair to Middleton. I suppose that's a general slogan that they think people should be.
Yeah.
Fair to Middleton.
Because there's the phrase "for the win." That's a thing that people have said. That so I wonder if the other. I've seen
That
the
is
youth.
not a phrase
I wonder
called
if
that.
I wonder if the Windsors would say "for the Windsor."
Oh, for the win.
What
FTW.
does
Yeah.
for the win mean?
So someone might tweet tonight, for example, Mayweather FTW.
For the win.
Yeah.
But then
That's right, darling.
then it strays into just random rubbish they like. So they might get someone would on their Instagram put latte for the win.
But what does that mean?
Meaning they like the latte.
Oh, I've really the modern world.
Now listen, what about 897? We were in a restaurant once and the waiter said, enjoy your meal, right? With the emphasis on the word right, making it seem like a threat.
Yeah, that is a threat. Wow.
Enjoy your meal, right?
Do you mean right?
Unless you've mistaken
yes.
him for Ian Wright.
Even so, you wouldn't call him just right.
Yeah, go right.
You'd say righty.
Yeah.
Righty, yeah.
I mean, that's just plain old rude.
They could have a thing on Match of the Day where they press and say no righty, no likey on the nights he's not on. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Yeah.
We were talking about Donald Trump hurt his eyes looking at the...
The eclipse. The
he's
medieval...
now going to build a wall around the sun, apparently, as anger.
And it's going to be the biggest, best wall.
It's a weird... I can understand it, though. When you're up there, you think, well, I'm sure I look at the sun sometimes, and it's fine. I don't, it stings a little bit, you squint, but you don't sort of go, ow! So, surely if I look at it during an eclipse, it's going to be slightly less.
Well, Steve,
worse.
I feel you might know about this as Wikistevia, because should we go over to our correspondent?
Well, they're just very insistent. I just trust the advice of doctors who are just saying,
Do you?
you absolutely don't do it. Because you would never normally look at it.
Okay.
And certainly that was...
But is it specifically during the eclipse, I think, is what we're asking you, Minister?
What I'm saying is that's the safest time to look at the sun because it's slightly obscured.
I take your point.
I guess that's only when it's 100% totality.
Why have you turned into this sun apologist, standing up for it?
Yeah.
Well, I particularly enjoyed
Health and safety gone
the
mad.
spike on Google after the eclipse of lots of Americans tweeting like, my eyes hurt.
But some people put sunscreen in their actual eyes.
That's
in
the
eye
staggering
socket.
thing. I absolutely was staggered by
And
that.
they said they had people turning up to the A&E with sun cream in their eyeball.
Actual eyeball. Factor 50.
Do you believe this is true? I just think that when I was growing up, people did jokes like that about the Irish, say, and all those things. That you can say them about the Americans because they're a really powerful country. So all the smaller places that used to get like bigoted remarks, you can say it's all right about. You can talk about the Americans being fat.
You can satirise up, I believe.
Yeah,
can't
you can say
but
this.
not down.
Well, can you though?
Oh,
But then
Chinese
go.
are a major world power. Can I do the voice? Can I Buffalo?
But you wouldn't, in the same way
It
that
doesn't really stop you.
you wouldn't believe that people would be dumb enough to put sunscreen in their eyes, but you also wouldn't believe that the President of the United States would stare directly at the sun during an eclipse.
It wasn't a good example.
Well, I think I've done it. And look at me. I'm fine. I'm not telling people to stare at the sun, but I do think it's a bit of an overreaction. The bin liner takes the edge off it.
Well, people were
What
good.
if he'd brought out a bin liner? Come on, that would have been
And
brilliant.
he couldn't quite rip it, and you can't quite do the separation.
But the study would have been, they told Americans to look through bin liners, but some of them said there was so much rubbish in it they couldn't lift it above their heads. You know what I mean? That would be the story, because then you can do the thick Americans joke. If they're so thick, how come they're a major world power? Ask yourself that.
People were Googling, Frank, I can't see, I'm blind. It all went a bit King Lear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only an eclipse, love. I agree with you.
I'd imagine Trump would have a white bin liner, and if he put it over his head, it would just make things even worse.
Oh Steve.
Have I made it too serious?
I think you've
a little
gone-
bit of politics.
Gone very political, and I mean, I respect your
I mean, I'm
views.
going out on a limb by saying Donald Trump's a not very nice man. I'm aware it's
It's
controversial.
all right, sort of suggesting he's got a weirdo son and stuff.
I mean,
Now you've
shall
gone
I?
political.
Well, it's not now. I mean, shall I do a Milana impression? Oh, you can't do that now. That's rude as well.
You can't, oh.
No, you're not allowed. You got to
It's
do
all right,
it.
it's all right
Melania.
when they say.
You said Melania. I thought you said Malala for a second. I thought that really would be.
No, I'm even more confused. What's that? We're just going to have to play something while I just give these two a proper talking to. You know when you have to reach back into the car towards the kids and say, I'm telling you,
Just put the music on.
I'll bang their heads together.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Speaking of the sore eyes thing, my son, who's 5, next gen, as I like to call him, next gen, he's allergic to cats and horses. We found out, and when he gets really swollen eyes, it's a horrible thing to see. I took him to David Baddiel's. We only got through halfway through an England game because Dave's got about 9 cats, and anyway. So he woke up the other morning and he'd got his eyes were swollen up, and they'd got, you know, when you get eye custard,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
got a bit of eye custard in them. He said, I can't open my eyes, and I said,
Oh.
and I said, oh, Dad. He said, what is it? What is it? I said, I don't know. You must have picked something up. He said, do you think I dreamt about a cat?
Wow.
And I
wow.
thought that's a very clever.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
you could dream about it and get your allergy.
And get the allergy, yeah.
Spooky. Just as a general question to our readers, how often are you supposed to clean the filters on a dream catcher? Because we've had that one. It's been up now probably 3 or 4 months. How often are you supposed to get them? There seems to be stuff.
Yeah, they
coming.
need a bit of a clear out, don't they?
The child logic like that, because my daughter's 3, so she's just getting into the child logic of thinking the way Buzz was thinking there. It's really adorable. I was trying
Kids
to
say the funniest
I was
thing.
trying to-
Yeah, that's it. It's kids say the funniest things on Absolute Radio. Off you go.
Have I gone into a
started it.
cheat?
You
I
did.
started
You're
it.
both guilty this morning, but I'll let it go.
Am I guilty of yes-anding? Trying to keep it going. You see, I've lost faith in the anecdote now.
no,
beforehand.
sorry, it's my fault.
It was playful.
I'm just being horrible and cynical because I forgot to have children.
It was mega bants.
My daughter slammed my dancing, basically. She's obsessed with there's an animated film called Ballerina, and she loves it, and she wants to dance like Ballerina. So I tried to entertain her by dancing like Ballerina. And my dancing is so bad.
Funnily enough, Vector dances on the moon.
My wife said to Polly, oh, look, do you like Daddy's dancing like Ballerina? And Polly replied, no, he's not. He's a flamingo.
Flamenco.
If only flamingo.
Oh.
So, but that's how I dance.
I'm not so keen on that one.
What, that anecdote? Frank, you can't just say that about
I'm
anecdotes.
I'm joking.
Hey, listen, I've got some news about the staring at the sun.
Oh, yes. So it's fine. Turns out it's fine.
No.
Oh.
Au contraire, my friend. Sorry, I called him my friend. Monica says, Frank, stop occasionally looking at the sun. You won't notice the damage immediately. Your sight will gradually go worse. Even if you're just out on a sunny day, not pulling a trump, but forgetting your sunglasses, damage will occur eventually. I'm just saying. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you, Monica, for that. I don't need to think I walk around looking at it a lot, but I just think, sometimes I just have a bit of a peep, Monica, that's all, just to make sure it's still there.
Yeah?
But, OK, I'll be more careful.
Okay.
We did, Kath put up, Boz had the planets in a magazine, several planets, and Kath put them on his wall for him, stuck them up for him, and she sort of went on a sort of vague sense of colour and didn't bother putting them in order. I found it's really annoyed me. She's put them up on the theory you can't really follow a ring, so Saturn's at the end. And, I'm not a scientific type, but it's really nagged me.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Like, I wonder if God could do. If God just decided to change the way he stacks. I've alphabetized them. Slightly ruined by me not being able to say alphabetize them.
If God had been a lady, maybe he would have put them in a more aesthetically pleasing thing instead of go just random. I'm not slagging him off, don't get me wrong. But
I'm relieved to hear it.
Is Pluto still up there?
oh no, she's put Pluto up as well. I mean, come on. 2006 Pluto went.
Yeah.
It's a dwarf planet, that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's so naughty, he's Pluto.
You can tell it's a dwarf planet because Mickey Mouse is bigger than it. And it's a dog and he's a mouse. Weird.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Now, we've been talking about Trump. The other big news story of the week was the controversial shutting down of Big Ben for the next 4 years.
Yes, can I tell you, the Big Ben is the bell, obviously. This is one of those things like knowing that Big Mo is Gary Oldman's sister. It's a thing that people tell you like you don't know, but everyone knows that Big Ben is the bell.
Yeah.
And they said it's not going to sound, I think occasionally, but basically it's not going to sound for 4 years.
New Year's Eve and Remembrance Sunday.
And I remember when I read it, I thought I might never hear Big Ben again.
don't.
So that's a reassuring little
So depressing.
breakfast radio here on Absolute, where mortality matters.
But the reason that they're turning it off, the bells off, is because that they don't want the people working on it to suffer unduly, because it's going to be so noisy, apparently. Well, I just think, come on, go for a lunch break. Go for a fag break.
Every 15 minutes.
It does ring every 15 minutes, yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, develop some tolerance.
I think turn it up, but that's suggesting they're going to be working on it for 4 years.
Yeah.
There is no job that takes 4 years to do.
Why is it taking so
There's
long,
no job.
this?
Why do you think it is?
I don't know.
Because it's been done in Britain. They've got a load of clock watchers repairing Big Ben.
Yeah.
They'll be in their element.
Yeah.
It's a bit bad if you get in late. He's going to notice the gaffer.
Yeah, you can't have an argument about that, can you?
Apparently they got Harold Lloyd in as a health and safety consultant.
Love a Harold Lloyd joke.
Harold Lloyd reference.
Get enough of them
Keep
these
it
days.
topical, kids. Hey, kids, any young people listening? I know what you mean. I know. Don't keep asking me.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Can you imagine the amount of money they could get for sponsorship of the Big Ben faces? There's 4 faces, is there? So they could do a different product on every one. Official snack food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I hope they don't go
Tempting.
down
Well, if it was
that
ended
road.
up, it could be like the 4th plinth, where if they were genuine heroes. But it wouldn't be. You're right. It would be a money-making thing. It wouldn't be anything noble.
Well, why is it taking 4 years?
Is the 4th plinth what Chris Eubank calls Prince Edward?
Next Gen?
4 years.
He calls him Next Gen.
Yeah, he does.
He calls everyone Next Gen.
Apparently, because they're putting a lift in.
Yeah, but not. It wouldn't take 4 years if people honestly got down and did a proper day's work for a proper day's wage.
Brexit means Brexit.
No, I think I'm sure that's the same in Europe. Certainly in Germany.
But are you upset? You know, some people are really sort of. There's this kind of passport to Pimlico parochiality to it, where people are actually
I like
upset.
the alliteration.
Alliteration of Steve. Love that
The
novel.
alliteration of Steve. Yeah, is it?
Love that novel.
Anais Nin.
No, I saw it more as a kind of Patricia Highsmith.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I used to live very, very close to the other side of the river, and Big
You
Ben.
did?
I used to lie in bed and listen to it at night, and it's a brilliant. I mean, are there any other famous major landmarks with their own sound? 8, 12, 15. You know, Sydney
Yeah.
Opera House, and obviously people make sounds in it, but it doesn't have a sound.
Yeah, yeah.
The pyramids don't have a sound. Statue of Liberty.
That's true. Maybe, what if it's the only one?
Yeah. It'd be great if it turned out that Nelson's column did make a noise and no one knew it. Just once every 100 years, Nelson's column goes, oi, oi.
Nelson's column goes... No one knew. That's what's been attracting him.
Yeah. We didn't know.
Turns out he's just got a trim phone. Well, there's some old references. I think Harold Lloyd is one of probably the early... Although I think we had an Ezra Pound.
I love a Harold Lloyd reference.
Oh, it's all here. Don't worry about it.
Frank Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Hold It.
I was just breathing.
Shopkeeping. This is
sorry.
housekeeping. This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve Hall. You can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
So we'd discussed what sounds we missed in the light of Big Ben shutting down for 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't.
I tell you what, we've had a lot of...
We didn't. That's a lie. We never discussed that at all.
Well, no. Well, you flagged it up, to be fair.
I flagged up Big Ben. What'll I do if anybody dies? Only I'll flag it up.
Did you run it up the flagpole? Oh, I hate it when people say that.
I don't mind that one. You don't need that one often enough.
Oh, you haven't worked in enough offices. Clearly.
Do people say that?
They say that in offices.
Do they?
Well, I don't work in an office anymore, but back in the day, they say that in offices. I'm not going to be rude about offices. I love offices, and I worked in one, and, it's fine.
Sure.
Shout out to you offices out there.
Offices.
No, but I know. Listen, can I tell you what they miss?
What, in offices?
What about when I went on that offices rant? Can I tell you what they miss, which I'm quite shocked about?
Go on.
The age, the median age here, the rag and bone man. We've had hundreds of rag and bone
what?
man.
That was one of my first thoughts, was the rag and bone man.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll ring it, all right, and give me that bone, I'll give you out to fire. Don't know what they said, but yeah. And there'd be on a horse and cart when I was a kid, a horse and cart, and you'd take out an old ringer or something.
250, the rag and bone man, horse and cart, coming down the back street.
Yeah.
And he would shout, rag and bone.
Well, they shouted all sorts of different things, I think, depending. But yeah, and you'd go out and give them, they'd give you like...
And would they be, I'm
8 and 11.
intrigued by the etymology, because I can imagine people getting rid of old clothes, but where the bone element comes in.
No, I know. Dogs,
What does it mean?
Dogs
Is it
you didn't want. You had a big, like a massive meat mixer on the back.
What was rag and bone man? Do you just get... Oh, my word.
There was producer Daisy's intake of breath then. I hope the microphones picked that up.
What was the purpose of the rag and bone man then? You just gave them old stuff?
We gave them stuff you didn't want. Like if you had,
I'd
not
love
that
them.
many people had washing machines. Say
Yeah.
if your lawnmower broke,
Yeah.
then you'd give that to him, and he'd give you a few bob, and then he'd take
Really?
it. I don't know where he took it, to some scrap metal
I wish
place.
they could reintroduce that service. I'd find that really useful.
It'd be interesting to know if there's still any going. Anyone in the country still gets the rag and bone man.
Particularly now that the bins are generally only taken once a fortnight, the rag and bone man could make it.
Bit
Could
more
make it come back.
politics from local politics now. He's like Google Earth. He's coming in tighter and tighter. Soon it'll be office politics. Then it'll be
I've got
me.
that covered.
Then it'll be a big telling off of me.
Is this my slow descent into conspiracy theories?
It could be.
Wake up, sheeple.
Sheeple.
Well, 027 said we had rag and bone in Walthamstow 4 years ago. They make it sound like an outbreak of some sort.
Is that the same?
4 years ago. Nothing takes that long.
I think we must have had multiple messages from 027, because they've also said that they missed the sound of the milkman and glass bottles clinking.
Oh, that's a good. What about whistling tradesmen? In the morning, I love that.
I found that very creepy when they do that.
I'll tell you what sound I miss, the white heat of laughter I used to get in the 90s.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
I had a nice message from John from Powerhouse Films, who sent me the Sinbad trilogy, the Ray Harryhausen
Brilliant.
films.
Yeah.
That's good, eh? Hey, that's me sorted now. Could be a late review in the offing.
I'm all right, Jack.
I watched the Battlestar Galactica mini-series this week. Absolutely top-notch.
The original or the remake?
Not the Lawn Green. That's the
Right,
the
that's the
70s. No, the other one.
I'm glad we've cleared that up.
Yeah.
Wasn't the lawn
Actually,
green
that's
one.
the sound I miss. The sound of the Cylons. That
radio.
type thing.
Sure.
Okay, please can we not talk about that?
Quite a few people missed the sound of the dial-up tone connecting to the internet back in the day.
Something like that.
Oh, sounds like Crazy Frog.
It took ages.
I miss
though, didn't
Crazy
Yeah.
Frog. Oh, I love Crazy Frog.
I miss
It was a backdrop to many a romantic encounter.
I miss dog nails on linoleum.
I love that. Clicking.
Yeah, I really miss the sound of an old rotary telephone dialing.
Yeah.
That sound, it sort of sounded like a cat purring in your ear.
Yes, a cat
Purring.
in your ear. Yeah. Yes. Can I say something slightly controversial?
on, darling.
I missed the wolf whistle.
Well, tell me about it, dear, when you get to my age.
I mean, I didn't.
I miss the wolf whistle.
I hated the sordid remarks at sometimes, but the wolf whistle has got there's such a simplicity, such an.
I think the wolf whistle's still alive and well. What do the ladies in the studio think? Yeah? Yeah, sorry, we've taken a
They
poll.
both look devastated. Can't understand what's happened.
Are you able to wolf whistle?
Well, I can go, but I can't.
I can't
Can
do
you
that.
do it,
I
Steve?
can't do that. So
Well, let's
I mean,
see your
in-
attempt. Oh, that's great.
Basically, I mean, it's saving
Steve
myself
is
from
so
myself.
right on. He can't wolf whistle.
Political correctness
No,
gone
he had an
entirely socially
operation to
acceptable.
stop him doing it. All men born after 1970 had an operation to stop them wolf whistling.
It's like tonsils out.
Yeah, and
no
wolf
wolf.
whistle facility removed, Frank. That's what happens.
That's fair enough. I know it's the price we've paid is a lovely one. But there was something just saying, because men, they do see a woman and think that she looks really attractive. They do think that. I don't care who they are. And it was the oral representation of that inner thought. In a way, it was more on it. It was a sort of an alarm. It's a warning alarm. I'm thinking this about you. Watch me.
Has it been replaced? Has the wolf whistle been replaced by the cat call?
Well, this is what concerns me. I would take the wolf whistle over the cheer up, love, it might never happen.
No, I don't.
And
I
other
don't-
unpleasant things.
All
I
the
prefer-
verbal ones.
Yeah.
I don't like.
Give me the wolf whistle over the verbal.
I think the wolf whistle, it's a bit like a pressure cooker. You know, that sort of shh. It's like saying, keep your distance because I find you attractive and you know what men are like.
Well, I
that's the
might get
message.
in trouble for this, but all I can say is at my age, dear, I'd welcome the wolf whistle. No, I've said it, I'm sorry.
It's always an animal name followed by some
Don't look
sort
at
of
Steve, you'll
declaration.
get no joy out of him.
This is what I get from Steve.
You wouldn't want to walk past it. If you walked past a bloke and he went, you'd be a bit worried, wouldn't you? I'd be very
Trying to cool down a Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah, what does that mean? Yeah. You don't see that many people anymore out on the street with a Yorkshire pudding.
No.
Unless they're taking one out to the rag and snacks man.
Yeah.
That'd be a good bloke.
Oh, I love them.
wow,
like
yeah.
this
If you're on a diet, you think I want to get these crisps out of the house. Well, any snacks, anything fattening? Oh yeah, that's just timing.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
We've had on the subject of sounds that people miss. 977 has texted to say the sound and sight of flapper departure boards at airports and train stations, watching the details emerge a letter at a time.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
That was rather exciting,
Yeah.
like Countdown or something.
And Tony has tweeted to say he misses the sound of the Spectrum 48K loading with his fingers desperately crossed, hoping it's not going to break.
He sounds like a nice friend for you, Steve. No, I can just see you talking about things like that.
With you in the Vector warm-up suit.
I dreamt of, I was an Acorn Electron
I don't
man.
know.
I couldn't. We
I
dreamt
could-
of the Spectrum.
I can see you popping around for a cup of cocoa to talk about
I'm
Doctor
not,
Who.
I'm not very good on the tech stuff, but I'm always happy to talk about Doctor Who.
Yes.
We need to talk about Doctor Who. You guys have some news of your little show, haven't you?
Well, it
Well,
looks
it's-
like...
Is it 100% confirmed?
I don't think it is, but this is what seems to have happened. There's been a big meeting at Doctor Who, and someone says we've got a female Doctor Who now. And I know it's the Doctor, but, shut up. Got a female Doctor Who, And what would make a good? What's the ideal combination? What about a sort of late middle-aged comedian? And they've all looked through each other and said, Bradley Walsh. Imagine how that makes me feel.
I mean, when I heard you could have knocked me down with a fashion
with Vic
caution,
Feather, the former trade union leader,
I was quite shocked.
By the way, when I said to you who were the big personality trade union leaders,
yes,
we never mentioned Arthur Scargill.
Oh, he was the biggie.
Yes.
I remember a man on the news saying, and as for Arthur so-called Scargill, well, hold on, in what way are you using so-called in this? Anyway, we've gone on to, yes, so...
what do you Whovians make of I mean, we know it's a bitter pill for you to swallow, Frank.
Yes, but I mean, apart from that, it's a bit Donald and Melania. It's a classic TV trope, this sort of middle-aged, ordinary-looking bloke and the young, attractive woman. It's what they use on the news a lot, isn't it? And they used to use it on... obviously, it was what they used to use on Strictly. And... when you see that, you know those when you're on holiday in, say, Italy, and you watch an entertainment show on the telly, and it's filmed in a place about 9 sizes bigger than Wembley, with people sitting at tables.
Yes.
That's always a sort
There's
of a very ordinary-looking middle-aged bloke with a stunning young woman.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a time-honoured...
So he's a sort of Philip Schofield figure.
What, Steve?
yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Bradley Walsh, good team leader?
Well, I found it so left field that it's just one of those things where I just assume it's a good idea, because I know Bradley Walsh has actually done loads of acting, but it's so left field that it's like someone might as well have said, did you know Nigel Winterburn is the new Doctor Who assistant?
Lovely.
James Bond.
Yeah, and I would just have to sort of go, oh, well, I assume that must be a sound decision, because...
So do you say assistant rather than companion?
I suppose I do. Yeah, I've never analysed, but yeah, I probably do say
he's always missed the right arm, but when it comes to hierarchies, he's just like the others.
Well, it's funny because... Oh, well, it's not funny. I know Frank will pick me up on that. It's really not funny. But it's quirky because he's the only Bradley that I think is in the famous Bradley chair, except for Bradley Cooper. So I found myself having conversations with people saying, yeah, Bradley Cooper's the new...
Bradley from S Club 7 is throwing his cup of tea down in anger.
No, he was double E, though, at the end, I believe, wasn't he?
Oh, was he?
Well, I don't know.
And he is really
He looks like he should have been.
He is really called Bradley Walsh, I think. It's not like it sounds like a stage name, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it does.
But no, I think that is his real name.
Well, he's had like a life to really envy because he's played
don't
professional
say this to
football.
Frank. He's played professional
he was a footballer.
For
he's
Brentford.
been a comedian.
He would play for Brentford. Barnet FC maybe as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
But he's a professional footballer.
Yeah, but to have done those things, to his CV, to have to have been a comedian and an actor and a footballer, it's pretty cool.
And he presented daytime TV quiz show. It was a Chase. I saw that for the first time.
Chase is absolutely
It's
massive.
brilliant. I was shocked at how good it is.
I love it. Because Paul Sinha, comedian and chaser, it's always fun seeing
There's
him.
a few of those. That's a common enough combination. I used to be one of those myself. Oh, look, it's all good nose, but it is good nose. Was that a Freudian slip? Has he got a good nose, Bradley Walsh?
I can say this, you can't, but I just think there's someone else who's already proven himself, as the Scots would say. He knows what he's doing. He was very popular in the role.
Yeah, but they won't go for Jim Davis. It'd be a neat counterbalance. It's only a step further than Bradley Walsh. And as a for those people who are upset by the female doctor, you think bringing in Jim Davis and would say, oh, well, fair enough. And we're talking about 52% of the vote here. That's a lot of viewers.
I think in your case, Frank, it's a bit like they're not going to give Jennifer Aniston the part in EastEnders because they think she's too big for it.
No, come off it. But thanks for that.
Okay.
They've gone, I think I think it could be really interesting. But it is a time-honoured TV. It's a bit like the mullet. It's that thing. business at the front, party at the back.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Talking about famous Bradleys. 488 has leapt in to say Bradley Wiggins.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah,
we miss
sorry,
that?
I
We let
forgot.
that, we
Lest
let
we
that
forget.
slip.
Yeah.
And 037 has said surely it should be the doctor's receptionist instead of assistant or companion.
Oh, yeah. I'd love that.
That's very good. Are you my companions? We never use.
I do hope
One
so.
doesn't often use the word companion now, do you?
Yeah.
I wonder if I should, because
I might call myself your companion.
Because me and Kath aren't married and I'm old, I can't call her my girlfriend. When I say to people, I'll go and ask my girlfriend, I know they're picturing someone 19.
Well, I always say Frank's partner.
I always say partner, but I wonder if they think I mean, if they're expecting some sort of Bobby Ball character.
Yeah. Well, then it's also like you could have started an estate agent together.
But maybe I'll call her my companion.
That's a good one. Yeah, but then if you're going to call, the people on the show the companions, it's going to get three people in this marriage.
In sort of, in Edwardian, I don't want to be one of those Martin bashers.
Strawberry pun.
Always criticising people called Martin. I'm one of those Martin bashers.
I know what you meant.
No, I'm just helping.
I know.
Do you still, in the sort of Edwardian England, you used to get elderly ladies who would advertise for a travelling companion. And a young woman would turn up with a portmanteau usually, and they'd travel off to get. Do you still,
like in the back of the Lady magazine.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, I think.
I haven't been in the back of the Lady for a long time.
Oh, God. Do you still get that advertised then for a travelling companion?
Well, do they still exist? I think people
you
are
get
so
the cougars now, don't you?
They're so
they want a different sort of companion
if you look
now.
for an escort now, it's a very different thing.
Well, if the elderly lady was advertising for the companion, trust me, I don't think it would be a young girl going around with it. Well, it might be.
Come on. I just wonder if people still say, I want to go on holiday and advertise for a companion. I mean, in that way, I think they were supposed to help out a bit and stuff.
Oh, yeah, like a sort of nursey.
Yeah, I think there might even be one in Mommy on the Orient Express, the Doctor Who episode I was in. I think.
I wondered how long it was going to take that to be brought up this morning.
I think there is an old lady, the first person to be killed by the Foretold. I think she's travelling with a travelling companion.
Well, Steve will know.
If there's anyone, anyway, 8-12-15, if you've ever been or are looking for, not if you're looking for, don't get me wrong.
No.
Maybe that's what Bradley Walsh is doing. He's not in the show at all. They're just going on holiday together.
He's advertised for a travelling companion. See, I think you'd feel now, especially if you're a celebrity, if you advertised for a travelling companion, people would assume it was a TV show.
Yeah, they would.
Everything's a TV show. Well, the Whatever Happened To thing we do on here, we had someone the other week say, that'd make a good TV show, you think?
Someone said Frank Skinner should do that as
someone from development. Yeah, it's a TV show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Travelling companions, that'd be a good... let's do that. Let's have everything. Potential.
Well, that's what Richard Ayoade does one, doesn't he?
Does he do one with
Travel Man and Gadget Man, yeah.
Oh, him and his man.
But if I said I'm going to travel to different countries, but normally when it's like Michael Palin or something, they just go and they walk around and tell you interesting stuff. But I go with some young person who comes and carries the bags.
Under that. Like Derek Akora's friend.
Yeah, we'd actually advertise for travelling companions. Then they could be vetted to make sure they're wacky and interesting. People with baseball caps would turn up, like on Big Brother.
Isn't that essentially a tour manager?
Yeah, commission times 6.
I mean, don't you have one of those?
I don't know. It'd be someone who'd never done any telly and they'd be hanging around with the... Anyway, shut up about it. I hate travel.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We talked last week about the Reading Festival and their controversial banning of pineapples.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I was there yesterday. I did the comedy tent yesterday, and I'm happy to report there were no pineapples on display.
Oh, so people didn't... what happened to, Youth Rebellion?
Yeah. They'll do as they're told now.
And everything that you said last week about old people of a certain age not going to festivals was proved right. I felt so out of place and
Did you?
so concerned.
I respect you for that.
Well, you say that. Oh, actually, you were a little bit younger then, because we received a missive from the outside world, and it was a poster from Reading 92, Steve, saying that Frank Skinner was on the bill alongside Nirvana, Public Enemy, Mark Lamar.
Yeah.
The Charlatans. I mean, there was all
Is that
all
Public
sorts
Enemy
going on.
Mark Lamar or Public Enemy and Mark Lamar?
Well, he did become a sort of public enemy.
The Charlatans, Bobby and Jackie.
And this is from Michael Coffey, and he says, #trouble in the wings, dear. Was there trouble in the wings?
Well, there was quite a bit of trouble. I'll tell you why.
Public enemy?
Is that I was in Edinburgh and I had to fly down to Reading to do that gig. And I got a call from one of my management team saying, don't get on that plane. And
At the end of Casablanca.
yeah. And I said, why not? And they said, there's just been a freak storm in the middle of the gig. It's just blown the tent down. And I said, will I still get paid? Was anyone hurt? In that order. This is what always sticks in my memory. That's when I thought that a showbiz ruined me.
But it's good that it was not just someone tearing the roof off, someone doing so well.
So I'm on the same poster as Nirvana and Public Enemy, but I was never actually on the same.
What
Did you never
excited me about seeing that poster is one of the other names on the comedy tent is someone we've talked about on the show before, who I didn't realise had played the Reading Festival, the late, great Chris Luby.
Oh, yes. Marriage to the Queen. Yes, Chris Luby used to do impressions, largely of military marching bands.
Right.
And he was an eccentric figure.
But given that it's a massive tent, it's a big old space, the idea of doing that, like really small, beautiful stuff in this,
I bet he
huge
stormed
tent.
it. I shared a tent with him at Glastonbury. I don't mean a performance tent. I mean, we slept in a tent.
Oh.
And
Do you want to be talking about that?
he was a nutcase. I mean, I don't know if you can still say that, but when I got in the car to drive him there, he went, right, chocks away, all that stuff. He never stopped. But, yes, God bless him, he's no longer with us. 21 gun salute, he could probably do that.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I think that's time. I was just going to...
Steve's last week, Frank.
It's my last week.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. The A-team returns next week.
Yeah, so thank you so much. You've been a fabulous
thank you.
part of the
It's
show.
always
I'm
fun.
going to call you a fabulous companion.
Oh, bless your heart.
I should be sorry to see your Calyx going out of the door if you disappear. It's the other part. It's the opposite part of a stalk on an apple.
Yeah.
I might start using that.
Do you know what I like?
Calyx.
I also love a Frank Skinner footnote.
Yes.
I love a Frank Skinner footnote.
Indeed. Well, you know, I like to help people.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Steve. You've been
Cheers.
great.
Thank you,
and
Steve. I'll
hopefully,
miss you.
hopefully you'll come back if anything happens to Alan.
Oh, don't say that.
None of us.
My boy's
you know,
back next week.
If Alan and Gareth are ill, I'm here.
Well, I'm still. I'm just hoping to hear Big Ben again.
Aren't we all, dear?
Yeah. What happened to him?
I'll tell you later.
I think he went camping in Copenhagen with Big Tom. Anyway, George Godfrey. Oh, God, I didn't like that. George Godfrey.
Are you being served?
Godfrey. That was my... what was he who played Captain Mainwaring? Arthur Lowe. Oh, dear. Sorry, this is just words. This is a Dardarist close to the show. Where just random words and you have to put them together into a link. That's this week's challenge. George Godfrey's coming up. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes,
Cheers.
thank you. God bless you. And bring on the feathers.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.